Thank you all for coming. It's a joy to be in this space. I could walk through every room in this building and tell stories until nightfall. I'm pleased to do and be a part of this series because I saw the one that Ed Kingans did and the one that Henry Reeves did, and it was just a special treat for us to sit in our den in Waco and see some of the lovely faces, not only of those doing the presenting, but those who were also kind of asking questions afterwards. I was born in Monessen, Pennsylvania, which is western Pennsylvania, and very shortly after our birth, my dad moved our family to a little town along the Monongahela River called Clairton, C-L-A-I-R-T-O-N. And Clairton at that time was a booming place, 20,000 people, and it was the home of 3 blast furnaces. And I worked in one of those, well, I worked in one of the blast furnaces during college, and in the boiler house during another summer time. I mention that because Clairton, in a sense, prepared me for Fort Street. It was a diverse makeup of people, the Croatians, the Italians. You just go through, and we had a part of it in Clairton. So I grew up having to relate to diversity of all kinds, and it became second nature for me to do that. I like to tell the story about Clairton because we live in a time of respect for the environment, and there's always a kind of a trade-off talk that has to occur, because when I was growing up, the 3 blast furnaces were belching smoke into the air until it was polluted. The river became terrible, couldn't sport any fish. When they made coke, the quencher was carried by the winds to the opposite banks of the Monongahela River until there wasn't a blade of grass all the way up the place. But Clairton was booming because it had those 3 blast furnaces. When the United States Steel decided to move the blast furnaces out, Clairton started going down. And pretty soon, the river was so clean that there was a lot of fish. And the mountains gained back the greenery. But Clairton couldn't afford to hire a policeman by this time because the tax base is gone and all the people are gone. There has to be some kind of a trade-off from my years at Clairton. And at that point in my life, I had a sister, Betty, and a younger sister, Marilyn, and then afterwards, Jackie and Janet came along. And sometimes people have said, why are you Presbyterian? And I say, I am Presbyterian because the nearest church to our home when we were growing up was a Presbyterian church. If it had been a Methodist church or a Baptist church or an Episcopalian church, that's probably what I would be.
Except that I'm the genealogist of the family, and although his father didn't relate all this, on his father's side of the family, they were all Presbyterians. A very long history of all his great-grandparents were strictly Presbyterian.
And please chime in. It rests my voice, and she has delightful tales a little later on. I'm wondering, Randy, if I'm thinking in terms of this little autobiography before I get to Fort Street. As I understand it, ought to take about 20 minutes. So it would seem to me that if you became a timekeeper, just put your hand up. That gives me 5
I'll give you
minutes.
15 more minutes.
Is that just the autobiography
Yes,
part, or
yes.
everything?
Just
So
whatever you want.
Up to Fort Street. Okay.
move it along.
Move on. Okay. I had an interesting period in which I became very close to God. The hymn, "And He Walks With Me and Talks With Me," may not be great music, but it is became a senior in high school, I wanted to be a minister, more than anything in all the world. But I was kind of slow academically. My father said, maybe you would make a good automobile mechanic. And I literally went into the shop of Clareton High School, and each week would be academic, and then the following week would be working in a local garage. Well, when I decided I wanted to be a minister, the minister of the church at that time took me to Waynesburg College, 50 miles away, and said, we have a youngster here who is not academically prepared for college, but we're wondering if you could make an exception and admit it. And at that time, they had lower standards than they have. They said, okay, you can become a student here on condition that you make it your high school and also your college. Make a long story short, I graduated with honors because I was so focused on wanting to be a minister. And I went on to Princeton Seminary, and that's where I met Virginia. Because she was there studying to be a chaplain to students at the university level. And we fell, she'll have to, we fell madly in love. And I remember when we got engaged, I said, I need to find a place that's not going to change. So they have a great statue in Princeton.
Princeton's very historic.
So I said, that's where I'm going to propose. That statue's still there. And we went and got married in Princeton at the University Chapel. If you ever go there.
It's still there too.
It reminds me of 4th Street a little bit because it's dark and high. It's a wonderful thing. We started looking for a church, and a little church in upstate New York opened up, Tribes Hill Presbyterian Church. Little town of 700 people. They had one Catholic church and one Protestant church. Okay, we were there and for maybe 5 years.
No,
3 years?
2.5.
When you get to be 72,
Gotta get the story straight.
time sort of collapses. And that's where our son Bob was born. And you say, okay, where'd you go? We went to Hartford City, Indiana, a town of 8,500. And why did we go to Hartford City, Indiana? It was halfway to Texas. At that time, I wasn't going to go into the backyard of my mother-in-law, but I was sort of moving in that general direction. And we stayed there
5 years.
5 years, okay. Now we have 3 little boys, all under 6. And Virginia, wisely, she has guided me so lovingly and helpfully all these years. She said, if you want to get your master's degree, you better get it now before the boys get into school. So I started applying. Yale Divinity School accepted me, and we started saving money for it. We saved $2,200. Today, we often talk humorously about what would happen if our child or one of our boys did what we did. Because I quit my day job, the only job. We put all of our furniture in storage, rented a U-Haul for what furniture we needed, and headed off to New Haven, Connecticut.